goosebumps every time, yeah, 713. Through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? I'm flying. Slipping low key. I'm slipping low key and hiding. I get those
Newcastle United. Wembley is a place for
you. Ease my mind. You make everything feel fine. Worry about those times. I'm way too young, yeah. It's way too young, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the high grip. Throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around me, throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time.
Hey, get in.
Come on.
Hello and welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. All with shades on. That could only mean one thing: victory has been secured. This is the Loaded Mag NUFC reaction to Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest, but it's also another occasion. So we're going to go there straight first and go to Mr. Peter Davey and say,
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Pete! Let's go. How are you getting on, mate? And happy birthday.
Yeah, cheers, lads. Great day. Officially out of my 30s, so yeah, it's been getting a lot of little messages today, and getting old and joint pain and all the rest of it. But no, I feel good. It's been a great weekend, and it just put the cherry on top with the 3 points in the bag. Get in there. We'll get into it all, but. Cheers for that, boys. How are you, boys? More importantly, how are you? How's things? That's class.
It's the same one for last year, Pete. Don't get too excited.
I was going to say it's 65 as well, didn't it?
It does say 65 on the cake, so eventually you'll work your way up to it.
That's not class. That's not class. Not yet.
Chris, how are you? How's those coffees?
Still full of it, mate. Still full of it, but all the better for this afternoon. There was a couple of moments where I was thinking, is this not gonna pan out how we want it to? But as I'm sure we'll get into, all was well. Another valuable 3 points on the board, and more importantly, boys. Well, maybe not more importantly, but equally as importantly, another clean sheet. Absolutely brilliant. So yeah, absolutely delighted. So yeah, other than the sickness and the cold and the feeling rubbish, other than that, I am not too bad. Dazzler, how are you getting on, mate? And great to have you back, Daz. Great to have you back.
I did not think I'd be here because you guys know what's the story with the whole internet situation at the moment. So I did try and jump on the Champions League when I was sitting here. And yeah, my internet had just gone. And it's been gone. It only came back yesterday, but I think it's only a temporary thing. My real new broadband is on its way, but it could be another 2 weeks before that arrives. I do not know. So here for this. Anyway, let's hopefully I'll last the show anyway. But yeah, apart from that, all good. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the team news. And the team news was as follows. Yes, so unknown change from the Champions League game from midweek. Byrne continues at left back. No Alex Murphy. I heard away days. The big match preview was predicting Alex Murphy, and I love the way you left it to the end to pick the left back slot, Chris. Much to the dismay of the chatters. I know. I'm not sure if Sophie's still with us anymore. She was going to leave if Big Dan Byrne was there. Oh, she's there. She's forgiving Eddie. Okay, that's okay. But yeah, this was the team news. No Hall and Ramsey. Hall, we'll talk about it as well, but has a hamstring injury, and Eddie's given a bit more detail on that in the last little while. Langa against his old club. Murillo on the bench. Of course, he picked up an injury in Forest's European game during the week. And Chris Wood returns to St. James's Park. Boys, what did you make of the team?
I mean, Pete and I felt that the team would remain the same. We both wanted Lewis Hall at left back, or possibly Alex Murphy. But yeah, the team remains the same as we thought it would. But by the way, if Wolfie's watching, I know Wolfie has said on many occasions that Morato is as good, or if not better, than Murillo. He's not. Just putting that out there. But no surprises in the team. Obviously disappointing to hear the news of Lewis Hall. I wondered if we were going to discuss that. That is a shame. And also, I suppose it kind of puts to bed any fears that, maybe Eddie Howe was going to be going with Dan Burn long term at left back. It seems like his hand has been forced somewhat, obviously with the injury to Tino Livramento and now the injury to Lewis Hall, which is a shame. But yeah, no surprises with the lineup for me, mate. I just it's so nice now looking at our bench and seeing options. So that was the most pleasing thing for me.
Bertie boy, what you make of the team?
Yeah, no complaints for the team. It was kind of what we expected, really. And after a really good performance on Wednesday, you expected it to kind of stay as it was. Yeah, the only real kind of surprise really is the injury to Hall. Not that Hall wasn't necessarily starting the game. That's a little bit of a concern if that is the case. Hopefully, it's just one of those. It was a little like strain, and it takes a couple of weeks to heal. And by Brighton, everything's okay again. I think Eddie Howe said they're going to scan it after 10 days or something. And
yes, that's what he said. Yeah.
So it could be maybe something that. 2 weeks is not short term, but it's worse. It's not as bad as having it in months. So that's what I'm hoping for. But in Newcastle United with Wisa, we won't get into that again. Things could be a lot worse than we think. So let's wait and see. But Burn left back, Malik Chow, Botman centre back. That's exactly what we needed. I was more intrigued with the Forest lineup, to be fair, and having one or two players in the team rather than not, and Morato starting. I know Wolfie said that before, Chris, about Morato, but I think if anyone's heard his videos recently, I don't think he
knows
or shares that anymore. So that's why in the lineup I was kind of like, yes, that's exactly what we need. So yeah, I was happy with both lineups, to be honest, and I was confident going into the game. But that's yourself.
Yeah, I was confident as well. I said to you guys a couple of days ago, yeah, we're going to win today, and I said it right before the game as well. I was surprised that Yates stayed on the pitch because I also have him down as for a red card, and it could have nearly got there today. He did pick up a yellow, and of course then they sub him off after around 60 minutes or so. But I having him in the team, it just kind of shows you the level Forest are at. Like they've quite a bit to go, let's say, and a few more additions to go, and maybe even a new manager soon as well. Who knows what happens there? Right, boys, I'm going to get into the game, and we'll go from there. The first half, even for the first 10 minutes or so, as a side substitute, they're out, and Newcastle didn't start to step it up. J7 had a shot at goal, saved by Sells. J7 had a header saved as well from a corner. His head on by Botman, I think, first. Then on the 19th minute, Gibbs White with a free kick, saved by Popey. 22 minutes, Gibbs White had a run. Passed the ball to Chris Wood. He miscontrolled it. He would have been in, but only for that miscontrol. So lucky escape there. Yates gets a yellow for an elbow on Bruno. Nico Williams gets a yellow for a tackle on Chinali. Well played to Sandro there on that one. But that was it for the first half, lads. Newcastle in the half, applying the pressure on Forest, but it ends 0-0. And nothing clear cut for either side, really. For me in that first half, but your thoughts on the first half, boys?
Yeah, I think for me, I was a little bit underwhelmed with the first half performance. I mean, we were very much in the game, and you could argue we were the better side. But to be honest, I was expecting that. That is what I was expecting. I was a little bit worried. I'll be honest, boys, at half time because I don't know. Something just wasn't quite clicking. There was a couple of nice passages of play, and I'll be honest as well. And this has been put in the chat. I think it was by where is it? Where's it gone? yeah, John Askew mentions it, and I'll come to the questions later. But yeah, Anthony Elanga at times was so frustrating. He'd do some really nice things, and you'd see that electric burst of pace. And then when a normal ball would come into him, it just bounced off him. And you're thinking, come on, I need more. I expect more. So quite frustrating. Obviously, he'd been really keen to perform against his old club. Elliot Anderson, I thought was really strong in the first half, and that concerned me because he was just flitting around everywhere. I thought he played really well first half, particularly. But yeah, I was just a little bit, I was looking at Anthony Elanga wanting more. I was looking at Anthony Gordon. I was wanting more. Nick Woltemade didn't get into the game very much at that point. So yeah, it was frustrating for me. The only positive, or the main positive, should I say, is that we didn't look like conceding. I thought the defence throughout the whole game was absolutely superb. But this is becoming a regular thing now. Kieran Trippier, a couple of wayward passes, but he just brings so much calm to that back line and his experience, and so that he's going to turn him around, and you can kind of forgive those little lapses that he does have. Yes, there is also a concern around long term, because he has lost a couple of yards. You can see it. But he's still got it up here. So he's still really key to this team. But yeah, half time I was a bit like, could go either way this. But really, I was hoping that we were going to dominate, and thankfully, second half we came out far better. And then really started asking questions of Forest, and things improved second half. But yeah, first half I was a bit frustrated.
Pete, were you worried about that first half performance?
Only from an attacking perspective. We didn't do enough going forward.
Yeah,
I was never worried from a defensive perspective of us kind of giving them an opportunity to score. We didn't really. The only times they got anywhere close was through our mistakes. So I think they had a shot from a free kick on the edge of the area for our mistake, and it was because our lack of attacking intent put pressure on us defensively, and then we got caught out. And we were overplaying because we lacked ideas in the first half. And our overplaying meant that we kept playing it further and further back, and we made a mistake and they capitalized on it. And that was the thing that worried me, really, is that our attacking play wasn't potent enough. I do think that without that attacking intent, we were kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. I genuinely believe that if we'd have got a goal earlier on in that first half, so if Joe Linton's chance, for example, gets put away, Matt Sells makes a decent save, that changes everything. It was always going to be the case against Forest. Get the first goal and their heads will drop and space will open up. And we just didn't do enough. Our attacking line, I know, Elanga was getting a lot of stick in the first half and parts of the second half too. But at least he was driving forward. He was working the line. He was trying to whip balls into the box. He was trying to make things happen. Nick Woltemade was just out the game. He wasn't involved. It wasn't his fault. It's just that players weren't playing it to him. He was opening up for space. He was opening up to get the ball at his feet. He just wasn't getting the ball. And for me, I was disappointed with Gordon in that first half. He needs to stop doing the same thing and being predictable. So the same thing, whenever he gets the ball, he just turns inside, and he turns inside again, and he turns inside again. He ends up playing the ball into the midfield, and then that's him done until he gets the ball and does it the same again. The one time he did something different, he actually put a half-decent ball in. So I think one time in that first half, he drove down the left-hand side, down his left, and he put a ball in with his left foot. It was drove into the middle of the area, and they cleared it and got the ball out, but that was the only point of potency that he used in that first half. And he needs to do that a little bit more. He needs to offer something different. And that's the thing that Gordon's lacking at the moment. He's almost trying to engineer a goal scoring opportunity himself, but he's not going to do that because teams are looking to stop him cutting inside. So he's got to do something different. And that's the bit that he's lacking in his game. And it's not just for Gordon. If Gordon's not doing it right and Elanga's not doing it right, it does automatically affect Nick Woltemade because he relies on that service. So if those boys aren't doing their jobs, Nick Woltemade isn't getting the service to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. So he is heavily reliant on those guys having good games. But other than that, I thought Sandro was very good. For me, he was the best player on the pitch. he just glides around the pitch and just does your job so well. Really good in recovery. He was actually trying to link the play and trying to force us forward and up the pitch. His starting position was probably 5 or 10 yards further forward than normal because he was trying to push them back. Because Forest weren't offering us anything. They weren't. They were there for the taking, and we just weren't taking the opportunities. So the first half, I was frustrated. I was annoyed that we hadn't maximized our opportunity, but I was never worried about the result going in at halftime. I always felt we were capable of getting a goal and winning this game. But anything to add on that, Dad? Your thoughts of the first half, mate?
No, but I'm going to add on Gordon because I'm agreeing with you here on Gordon. I suppose it's your birthday, so I'm going to have to agree with you. But no, that he does kind of just be like he does well, but you were expecting an awful lot more from him now at this stage of his career and his Newcastle career as well. It's same as Alanga, we're expecting, and the price we've paid for him. But yeah, Gordon does kind of playing for himself in a way, and playing to try and get the attention of Tuchel and getting in the England squad and getting to the World Cup. So he does need to come back after this international break and be more of a team player. I know he passes the ball and stuff like that, but it's just to get with everyone else, not be in a way selfish. Maybe is the word. But
you're right, Pastor.
I think there's just when you put it there like that, and it does kind of make you think. If he was playing more for the team, I think it would be better for him as well. It would improve his chances even more. So yeah, I do want to see something more from Gordon when he comes back after that international break. But we'll move on with that second half because there's a lot of good stuff in that second half. 51 minutes, Big Nick Energy with a great chance. Actually, picture with a great chance as a Forest clearance comes his way. Great recovery from Rato to deny us the lead. The ref then was kind of letting a lot of manhandling go, but on the 58 minutes, Bruno and Gibbs White collide. Bruno wins the ball. He plays the ball to Byrne, or the ball lands to Byrne, who plays in the Brazilian. Bruno then from outside the box applies a finish as he guides the ball from distance. Cue multiple celebrations from Bruno. First, here's the goal, and here's the shot from distance. Here's one of the celebrations, of course. And actually, Chris, something you pointed to in our chat as well. The commentary team said, let's look at this foul, Chris, referring to Chris Sutton. Well, we were having none of that. We're saying, no, Chris. No. There is no foul. Is no foul, Chris. But yeah, boys, what did you make of Bruno's goal?
Oh, mate, like my throat is sore, but I think a large part of that is down to that finish from Bruno, because I literally screamed when he scored. It was a great finish, and do you know what? So frustrating, and people in the chat have already said it. You know, like Bruno can shoot. Like some of his shots are so frustrating because it's almost like, and we've discussed this many a time, haven't we? It's almost like he bends down and then drags his foot through the ball, so he loses that little bit of power. But for that shot, absolutely not. Like he hit it sweetly, and as soon as he hit it, I knew it was in. I just knew it was in. Great finish. And we were saying, weren't we, on the last show, lads, that we need more. We need more from our midfielders. We need more from our wingers. And then Bruno goes and pops up with a goal like that. And as soon as we went 1-0 up, after what I was saying in that first half, like I knew we had a great chance of winning the game, because you know these days that you can rely on your defence. You know that. The defence is going to be solid. And as soon as you go 1-0 up, you think, right, we've got a great chance of winning this. And I actually felt like we were going to kick on then and score a few. As it turns out, we scored one more. But yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic finish. And I was made up for Bruno as well, because I thought, it gives him the world of confidence, because I didn't think Bruno had a great first half, but second half he really stood up, especially after the goal. Like, he was everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And he really put in a captain's performance that second half to make sure that we got it over the line. I thought he was absolutely magnificent. But yeah, great finish. And plenty more where they came from, please, Bruno.
Pete, your thoughts on Bruno's goal in our first?
Well, firstly, Bruno set the standard in the second half for up in the levels.
Yeah,
his work rate, his pressing went up 10%, and that makes a difference. I hammered him for the other game against Arsenal for not setting the example in intensity last Sunday. Well, he set the example for the next level of 10% that the rest of the team then went and risen to. So fair play to Bruno for that, and that's what I expect of our captain. Brilliant to win the ball back there. That's what you need to do against Morgan Gibbs-White, because he's a good player, and you have to get in and amongst him and in and around him, and he starts that off by winning it back. Dan Burn, obviously with him, gives him the ball, and for me, they're the kind of goals that Bruno Guimarães likes to score. It's very similar to the goal he scored against Chelsea at the back end of last season, where he doesn't put power on the board. He just caresses the board. And he gets that whip and that curl behind it. And it just proves you don't have to smash the ball as hard as you can to score. You just have to caress the ball and put it into the right areas. And I have to say, there's questionable goalkeeping for Matt Sells. He's already halfway on the ground as the ball's in the air, but even then he ain't getting anywhere near it, because it literally goes in just underneath the crossbar. It's not right in the corner, but it's under the crossbar, and it's always going to be difficult for a goalkeeper. It's a lovely, lovely goal, and we needed something a little bit special to open up this game, and Bruno Guimarães absolutely gave us that, and it came at the perfect time, because you could feel the atmosphere. Even just watch it on TV, you could feel the atmosphere to get a little bit frustrated. The players looked like they were getting a little bit frustrated. It looked like Forest were almost kind of at that point going, yeah, okay, we'll take the point. At this point, they're kind of just settling in and thinking, if we get a point away at St. James's Park, that's all right. And Bruno goes, no, not today, not on this day, not on the greatest day of the year. We're not doing this. And he produced a little bit of magic. So yeah, I was absolutely delighted with that. But that's anything to add on Bruno's very special goal?
Why is it the best day of the year? There's only one reason.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Pete, again.
Of course.
But yeah, no, it was a great goal. Lovely finish by Bruno. He said in the interview after the match as well that he's been practicing shots from range. The odd time he does take a shot, and you go, oh, he could have done so much better at that. But he does kind of a unique way of hitting the ball as well. But yeah, no, just where's that shot again? Here it is. But yeah, it's just delighted we were 1-0 up at that stage on the 58th minute. So yes. Where's the greatest day of the year? Right, let's move on. 61 minutes. Wood with a chance. But again, he miscontrols us. He was offside anyway. Forest decided they did not want to play ball because they were kind of sitting back a bit in the early stages of the game. 67 minutes. Murato with a yellow card. Tackle on Elanga. 68 minutes, some subs from Eddie. Gordon off, Barnes on, Elanga off, Murphy on. 72 minutes. Barnes with a nice run to our Newcastle corner. It came to nothing, but straight after that, Sandro nearly lobbed the keeper with a little chip from, or well, it was just kind of a little lob from Tonali. If that went in, that would be goal of the season. But not to be. 73 minutes. Nick Woltemade off the crossbar. So unlucky it was our Nick then at that stage. But 79 minutes, Sells with a massive save from Malachau. 1 minute later, he's doing it again. Sells again, point blank from Barnes. What a keeper is Matt Sells. Pity he didn't do that when he was with us, though. 81 Mats. Eddie Anderson fouls Bruno in the box. Stonewall penal. You know, I'll go through the penal, boys, and then I'll get your thoughts on the penal and actually and everything else. So up steps Big Nick Woltemade. Well, you know what? Let's see it in action. Here's a little clip. Never in doubt. What a finish. Goal for the Big Nick Woltemade. As nearly as many celebrations as Bruno from Big Nick. And but boys, I want to get your thoughts on was it a penal, first of all, and then Nick's finish.
Go on, Pete.
Oh, look, it's an absolute stonewaller. And I have to say, on this great of days, Elliot Anderson, cheers. Thank you very much. Will we pay you back with a 60 million signing in summer 2026? Don't worry about that, fella. We'll be coming for you. But look, yeah, great pressing from the team. I think Nick Woltemade was involved in the pressing as well. Bruno, just when you know Bruno's on it, this is what he does. He nicks the ball in high positions. He's a really good underrated presser of the ball, and he just has that knack of winning the ball. And like, it's that moment. You've seen the gif or the meme when you see something happen and you go like, and it's the Leonardo DiCaprio on the Wolf of Wall Street. That was me when that tackle happens. I was like, hey, ref, what you doing? Put it to the spot, and he's there, and I'm like, yes, get in. And my first thought is, Gordon's off. Nick Woltemade has to take this penalty. I'm an old school guy. I need my strikers taking penalties for Newcastle United. We've had all our strikers over the years taking penalties, from Alan Shearer, Shola, going on and on and on. Our strikers need to be taking our penalties. So I'm really glad that Nick Woltemade has stepped up, and he can take them again if he's going to take them out that bad boy. A little bit unorthodox, a different style and run up and way of taking the penalty, but yeah, he did exactly what he meant to do. And there's no goalkeeper in the world that's saving that penalty, that's for sure. So yeah, he can come again with those quality of penalties. And it wasn't his finest 90 odd minutes today. It wasn't his finest game in black and white, but you're not always going to be playing amazing in matches. I thought he did well, but you're not always going to play amazing. We didn't get enough service to him, but it's great when he's not at his best. He still puts the ball in the back of the net and sealed a fantastic win for Newcastle. But really, really happy with how we won the penalty. And yeah, just hey, what was that? Was it 4 in 6? 4 in 7 or something like that. He scored in now. Was it 4 and 5? 4 and 5. I have no idea, but all I know is that my striker, our striker, is scoring goals for Newcastle United, and that's what matters. Just a message for the Rats over in the Northwest. And
he becomes the third player to score for each of his 3 games at St James's Park for Newcastle. So he's in good company there. So well done, Nick, on that one. Chris, your thoughts on was it a penalty? And the finish from Big Nick.
Yeah, well, Pete and I were discussing on the last show, Daz. You probably heard it or saw it. We were saying, when we got the penalty against USG, we were like, "Oh, who's going to take it?" And we were like this, and I had a similar feeling. And then I realised that Gordon was off the pitch. I was thinking, "Oh, who's going to take it?" And then obviously Big Nick stepped up. First of all, yeah, it was a Stonewall penalty. I couldn't believe that Elliot Anderson had gone in with so much force. I know that he is prone to diving in kind of thing. He's full-blooded, he gives everything, doesn't he? But I was so glad he did it, I'll be honest, because it was the easiest penalty decision the whole weekend. Like it was the most obvious penalty. What I was going to ask, Daz, and I'll touch on it before you do it, I was going to ask you to replay the penalty, because when Pete said it was an unorthodox penalty, I'll be honest, I've never seen anyone take a penalty like that, because when he does his run up, there's a little pause and then he does the run up. And what's really strange is when he gets to the ball, he like arches his body and then hits it, so that it almost makes it, he makes it so that the ball goes right in the corner. And somebody put in the chat, did anyone else think he'd missed? And for like a nanosecond, I did think, has he put this too high? Because when he hits it goes really high, and but it's a fantastic technique, and if he keeps doing that, as long as he gets it on target, I can't see many goalkeepers saving the penalties. I just don't see it. But yeah, if you play it again, Daz, just watch just before he strikes the ball, and you'll see he changes his body shape and hits it in a way where Sells has got no chance, absolutely no chance.
I had that same worry, Chris, for that split second that it had gone too high. But I would play, Chris, but it's not your birthday. Pete, would you like to see the video again?
Of course, we can
play it again.
put Woltemade on.
He crosses over. It's weird, but I love it.
I think that video comes from Bronwyn, so thanks, Bronwyn. We're borrowing that on you, by the way. But she won't mind. She won't mind. No,
it's almost to keep the ball down, Chris.
Yeah,
like a lot of strikers do that. I know Harry Kane does that a lot as well, where they kind of arch the ball, and it's almost like body over ball, and they twist their body to ensure that they're getting it right into the corners, but also they're keeping it down, so they're able to hit it with power, but also keep the ball down so they're not skying it over the bar. So it is a really unique technique, but it's a very particular technique in order to do both of those things. Be able to hit it with power and keep the ball down, because that's what it's all about. It's like now goalkeepers can really cover a lot of ground on penalties. It's a case of, if you're going to put it into the corners, you've got to get it into the corners, into areas that they can't reach. So yeah, it is very unusual, but hey, I'll take that all day long.
I saw a comment there saying was Elliot Anderson doing us a favor. If you look right before he receives the ball, he has a look, and then he receives the ball, and he's another quick look, and he does not see Bruno coming at all. So then he took a bad touch, and Bruno's on him, and that's how he messed up, and we got that bit off. But finish this off, boys, because at 90 minutes, J7 came off, Miley came on, Big Nick came off, Sula came on, and in 96 minutes, Murphy had a bit of a run and had a shot that was saved, but that was it. 2-0 to us, victory, and we can restart the alliance now again after this one. Sorry, Wolfie, but yeah, justice was done. We got our 3 points. That's all that matters, I guess. But boys, the game as a whole, any comments?
Just delighted with the 3 points, mate. And as I said at the very start, like keeping a clean sheet as well. And do you know what? It's so important. Pete mentioned earlier, about Woltemade taking the penalty. It is so important, especially when you're new to a club, that you keep that goal scoring run going, and having the opportunity to do it from 12 yards. Why not take that opportunity? Because if Anthony Gordon was on the pitch, he probably would have took the penalty. But then at the same time, it's like, we want this good feeling, this good vibes from Nick Woltemade. I mean, I was saying to the lads, technically, he could have had a hat-trick today. He really could have, because obviously Morata recovers well to block his shot. And, the commentator was like, oh, he should have scored. But it was like an instinct, last gasp reaction kind of thing, and he gets it on target. It's just that Morata makes a really good recovery, so I'd rather give Morata the credit for getting back into position and blocking it. And then obviously Big Nick hits the bar as well, which was very, very unfortunate. So on another day he could have had a hat-trick, but I'm really pleased that he got on the score sheet, because the more that he perhaps isn't seeing as much of the ball as he'd like, or maybe isn't putting in those 8, 9, 10 out of 10 performances, which we know he's capable of, as long as he's putting the ball in the back of the net, it will breed confidence. It will keep, it will keep him in a good place. So I was delighted he took the penalty today, and what a fantastic penalty it was. But yeah, the most important thing today was to come away with 3 points. We've spoken, haven't we, about the start of the season, and some people will say, "Oh, it's not been great," but all of a sudden you look at the league table, and I think now I could be wrong, but I think we're 5 points behind top 5. It might not even be that. You have to correct me, but
Yes.
Yeah, we're not. We're within striking distance now, and I just think it was vital to go into this international break with another win, another clean sheet, and Nick Woltemade getting on the score sheet yet again. So I'm just delighted with it, and I hope this international break goes quickly. You boys know my thoughts on international breaks. I find them frustrating, but pleasingly this time around, I think a couple of people didn't get called up who maybe should have, but that just means more time behind the scenes, more time to get warmed up, more time to get ready for the next match. But yeah, overall, mate, I'm absolutely delighted. Made up with the 3 points, and it's a great way to end the Premier League season before the international break.
Before I go to Pete's summary and thoughts, just pick up a few things you said. I'm actually happy this is an international break. It gives my internet a chance to get sorted. But I'm also glad that Gordon didn't get to take the penalty, because now I'm thinking that Gordon taking penalties, scoring penalties is so brilliant. It's off goals. I want him to earn his now. I think it's better for us if he's earning his goals and not getting softer goals. So if I take it a penalty. So maybe I'm just mad, really. Maybe subconsciously I'm mad because I took I took Bruno out of my fantasy football. I already have Nick Woltemade, so I still get the point. But maybe that's subconsciously I'm taking it out. But your thoughts on the summary for the game?
Overall, I was absolutely made up with the 3 points. You're not always going to blow a team away and win comfortably and win on your 4s and 5s nils. We'd love that, but it's these games that are quite awkward where you go and get a result where it is difficult in parts, but you do enough to win the game. You get the 3 points in the board, and then you move forward, and it's as simple as that. And that was that type of game today. It was a game we had to win. We went there. We kind of slowly got into the game, but when we did get going, we completely wiped the floor with the team, got the result, got the points out the way. Next one on the horizon, which is after the internationals against Brighton, and we move forward. Now, what I will say is, there were some performances in there that weren't good. There were some performances in there that were excellent, but the players that didn't necessarily play well today, it's not the end of the world. There's still time for those guys to build in, but we do need performances from them now, and in particular, it's our wide men. Gordon and Elanga. I don't think they played well today. Neither of them. I thought both were poor in their, I would say, in their final third sort of deliveries, in their quality in the final third. It just wasn't there. I thought their work rate was really good. I thought they worked back and defended. I thought they gave everything energy wise, but their quality in the final third wasn't great. And I have to say, in addition to that, I thought both Murphy and Barnes were good when they came on. I thought they both played well. So big up to those two, because they will both be chomping at the bit going, pick me. If these guys can't do it, I can. And this is the beauty of us having a bigger squad, because you've got players chomping at the bit, wanting to get on the pitch and play minutes for Newcastle United. So, this is what it's all about. Really, we want these players playing well, because they're not just, we want them playing well for Newcastle United, but they should be wanting to play well for their own place in the team. I personally, I think, Gordon's lucky to be being picked ahead of Grealish, who scored again today for England, and that might not be the case come November. So, I knew exactly what you were saying, Daz, when you made your points earning. I think you were trying to be nice with your comments. You were trying to sort of sugarcoat it slightly with Gordon, and I understand why that, because some people might not agree, but I thought you were absolutely spot on. Gordon is, and it feels like he is playing for himself at the moment, and he needs to be more of a team player, because it is a team game. And Gordon putting assists on the plate for Nick Woltemade only makes him look better. So his connection with our previous striker was the reason why we lauded him so much. He needs to build that relationship with Nick Woltemade. So we need him to be playing well. You know, it's really important that we do that. But I will say, again, Sandro, great performance. I was worried about his knee in the first half. I was thinking, please don't come off. But he's an absolute machine. He just rides through it. Superb. Again, Bruno Guimarães back on form, quality performance. I have to give some special shout outs again for 3 players, really. Sven Botman, what a player. What a guy. What a player we have on our hands. I'm going to keep saying it week in, week out until he signs that contract. Lads, I'm worried. I am worried. I'm worried that we're going to lose him. I really am. I need that contract signing ASAP. Because if we leave that to the summer when he's got a year left in his contract, you can better believe some of the best teams in Europe are going to be tapping him up like Canate at Liverpool and saying, hold off a year and we'll get you on a free. I'm worried that we're going to lose a player of his ability. But what I will say is, what a guy that we've got playing right next to him, Malik Chow. Where we were in the summer, and we were talking about it, and we had people in the chat going, "Oh, 34 million. Have we overpaid here for him?" No, we have not. Because I tell you what, this guy has exceeded all of my expectations and more in terms of what he's producing at Newcastle United. And you can tell the fans love him. He is an absolute monster. We knew he was quick in recovery. We knew he was good on the ball. We knew he could get stuck into a tackle. But I tell you what, he's a monster in the air as well. His physicality to get up and get those big leaps against big centre-backs and win big, strong headers. There's a couple of times in the first and second half where he's up high and he gets those big headers and the crowd are right behind him on it. I love watching him play. I really, really do. Those two as a pairing have been absolutely sensational. And for me, they are the pairing that we need to see moving forward. We did say it. We said Malik Chow will earn his place back in the team. And when he gets that place in the team, it's about him keeping it. Well, he deserves to have that place now. And Fabian Shearer is going to have to be very, very patient and wait for his opportunity, because there's no way that Malik Chow comes out of this team now. That is for sure. And my last shout out is to Nick Pope. 5 clean sheets already this season, 6 if you count the Champions League. It is absolutely superb. And I have to say, he didn't really have too much to do today. Made a couple of little smart saves on the ground from 1 or 2 strikes, but his commanding of the area is very, very good. I thought his distribution was good today again. He likes to distribute more with his hands, and I understand why. But look, we hammered him a lot last season for his distribution. So I'm going to be going out my way to give him some props every time he gets a clean sheet for Newcastle United, because he deserves that, and he's playing very, very well at the moment. So fair play to Nick Pope, fair play to Malik Chow, fair play to Sven Botman, because those 3 in particular are the 3 pillars of why we have the second best defence in the Premier League. Only conceded 5 goals, 5 clean sheets. And if we carry on at this rate, he is going to be an absolute nail on for Golden Glove this season. And he will deserve it if he keeps this up. And this will be crucial to our success this season. If we can shut people out, it means that if we get goals the other end, it means that we will win a lot more matches than we lose. That's for sure. So loving it. But Dad, your overall thoughts?
I started laughing there, Pete, because I was trying to upload the picture of Nick Pope, and every time I delete a picture to put one up, Chris would have another picture put in his bed. Damn it, it's full again. So that's why I was laughing. But yeah, my overall.
That's just been a discussion point later. You'll see why I've done it. Cool. Yeah, I was deleting through. Sorry.
You know, it was just funny. But no, just delighted with the win. Yeah, the 3 points, it does kind of put a bit of perspective that like the last reaction show I was on, there was people calling for Eddie out. So with the Champions League result and this result today, it does put a different complexion, I suppose, on things, perspective. But yeah, there's plenty more to do, of course, but it does make things an awful lot better. I want to go through a quick few things as well, boys. First, I want to show you the team photo, because we always have to show this photo when we get our victory. So I always love to see those ones there. That, and you know what? Let's just bring up the league table as well while we can. So just give me a sec to do that. This is how I do it. I remember how to do it now. It's been away too long. Here we go. So, yes, we screen a bit bigger. We sit in 11th spot on 9 points after 7 games. We are behind Man United, who are on 10, behind someone else who are on 11. And yeah, your answer to your question, Chris, we're 4 points off that 5th spot. So we're 4 points away that where Man City sit. But yeah, and of course Arsenal leapfrogged Liverpool as well. Great to see that, because I don't want Liverpool to win the league this season. But yeah, that's where we are. Forest, on the other hand, they're sitting on 5 points, dangerously close to the relegation spots. But again, it's only 7 games in. But boys, Anthony, do you want to stay on the table while we have it here?
I just think it's looking better, mate. I just think it's looking better. If you look at the teams above us, like you've just pointed out, Man United are a point ahead of us. Sunderland's 2 points ahead of us. And then look how close we are to Chelsea, boys. 2 points behind Chelsea, 3 points behind Palace, who I do expect to drop off. And I think that defeat today. I mean, what was it? 19 games without a defeat. I mean, fair play to them. It's a really, really good record. But I do expect Palace to drop off a touch. Obviously, City got the win tonight, a 1-0 hard-fought win against Brentford. But I think actually going into this international break, I think we're sitting quite nicely. As you can see from our column there, we've only had 2 losses. And let's remind everyone, the 2 losses were against Arsenal and Liverpool. So for me, despite looking at it and seeing those 3 draws, you could argue that we could have turned one of those into a win. But ultimately, I think we're in a pretty good spec at the moment. I really do. The 2 games that we would expected to win for me were at Forest at home and Wolves at home. They were 2 givens. And so many times in the past, how many times, boys, have we had a home game and we've shot ourselves in the foot and we've gone, oh, for God's sake. I don't look at any of our games and think, they were a must, a 3-point must. I just don't see it like that, other than Wolves and Forest, which we've gone and delivered the 3 points. And more importantly, boys, let's have a look at that goal difference. Where are we there? Goal difference.
+1, I think, was our goal. Yeah, +1 here.
So we only scored 6 goals. We don't score many goals. We don't score many. Yeah. We've got the second best defensive record, but from an attacking point of view, we've only scored 6 goals. And you look at the teams at the top; they're all in double figures, pretty much. Yeah.
So that's something we need to work on. But I think gradually, as a couple of players return, I think we'll soon start noticing the difference, and hopefully we can go on a bit of a run. I mean, we've just scored 4 against USG. We've just scored 2 at home to Forest. Let's hope we can kick on with that. But yeah, in terms of defensively, I cannot complain this season. I just think we've been absolutely outstanding defensively. But I look back over the 7 games that we've played, and I think we're in a pretty good spot. I really do. I'd love to know, if anyone can work it out in the chat, I'd love to know what the results were last season of the games that we've played. Obviously, I know you're going to struggle with Leeds because last season we didn't play Leeds, but in terms of the other teams, I'd be surprised if it was much worse, or if this season has been better than last season. Because, like I say, I think we've picked up some really valuable points. The Arsenal game we did win at home, but last season. But again, you're talking 5, 6, 7 minutes where they just totally turned that round on us. But no, I'm reasonably happy with where we are. We're in touching distance. And we keep looking at that 5th spot, and as it stands, we're 4 points behind it. And I think we're only going to improve as a team, and I think we're going to kick on and be better.
Pete, Anthony, you want to say about the table?
Yeah, we're moving nicely up the table to where we need to be come the end of the season. And it'd be nice if we were up there sitting in the top half or the top 6 of the table right now, but we don't need to be. We just need to keep going about our business. We're rebuilding. We're clicking as a team, or we're starting to do so. and it's a slow burner. This is a long season, I look at it right now and I think we're going in the right direction. We are where we need to be. And that's what makes me happy. Players that we want playing well are playing well. So Nick Woltemade is scoring goals. Sandro Tonali's and Bruno Guimarães are key to the team. Our defense is really solid. As it shows on the table, only conceding 5 goals already this season, 5 clean sheets. Like, it's fantastic stuff. What I will say is, if you look at who we've played this season, I'll give you 4 teams. So you've got Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, and Forest. So there's 4 out of our 7 games that are against 4 teams that were in the top 7 last season that we've already played already. But that's not an easy start to the season. You know, Wolves, we won as expected. Leeds are a newly promoted side, but Leeds is a difficult place to go. As Bournemouth, who are flying, by the way, found last weekend when they had to get a late goal just to salvage a draw. We probably should have won that game, and we were the much better team that game. We just couldn't put the ball in the net, and we had a lot of other things that were affecting us at that time. That's the only game really this season I look back at and go, yeah, we probably could have got and should have got 3 points in that game. But it's a tough place to go, and other teams will drop points there. So if you look at all the teams that we've played this season, you know, Liverpool, do you begrudge losing that game? Not necessarily. You kind of expect to, but the way in the manner we did was difficult. Arsenal, again, the way in the manner we did was difficult, but you don't necessarily begrudge it. But they're the top 2 last season, so you kind of expect that to a point. There are other games that are going to be coming up now in the run between now and Christmas where, you know, we're going to have games where we put teams to the sword, and we're going to be picking up points where other teams around us are going to be having difficult games. So it'll work its way around. And when that does work its way around, I'm confident that Newcastle United will be on the better side of that. And you'll see very quickly we'll rise up the table. And all within this, Nick Woltemade is settling into the team. We'll have Jacob Ramsey back after the international break. Hopefully Lewis Hall will have Tino and Visa getting a little bit closer to being fit. Like, once we've got these players to work with as a full squad, I'm confident that we can go and really put teams to the sword and get results. So I think we're building nicely, and that's exactly where Newcastle United need to be, building nicely and getting results. What I will say, last point, is that some of these games this season won't be pretty. Some of these games will not be nice to see. Some of these games will be awkward and very desperate and very, you know, one goal could win it on a knife edge. But I back our boys to be the ones that win that battle and to win games in difficult moments. And when you've got a defense that's resolute like we have, our back is to win more points than lose. So that's I think is going to be the theme of this season. We're not always going to play pretty football, but as long as we get the points on the board, nothing else matters.
Right, boys, let's move on. Chris, do you want to go to some comments, or do you want to go to what you're uploading there? Do
you know what? I'll go to some comments, and then when we get to a comment which relates to that, I'll throw it up. But it's a good talking point, I think, and it'll remind a few people of where we are. I like this from Geordie Tune for Life. Karl Heinz, you watching, you big German sausage. Yeah, it's that 69 million's looking more and more of a bargain, doesn't it? And Peter Griffin, how you doing this evening, Mr. Rumenega? Yeah, it's Big Nick just defying everybody, isn't he, at the moment? He's really doing the business. And talking to Big Nick, Tom says Big Nick reminds me of Berbatov. Tom, completely agree. Not quick, but great feet and great touches, and hopefully we'll just get better and better. And I think that's it, isn't it, boys? You know, I think we've seen enough now from Big Nick Woltemade to understand and appreciate what he can bring to this team. Like the way he holds the ball up, the flick offs. He allows. He's that type of player that allows other players to flourish and get into the game and make those runs and catch teams on a counter. Well, I suppose what I wanted to ask you both was, are you impressed with what Nick Woltemade has done? Or I suppose what I want to ask you is do you have any concerns about Nick Woltemade, or do you think that it's just, he's still integrating? And do you think that, the team is starting to better understand how he plays? Because I've certainly seen a difference, but have you boys seen a difference? Pete, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I have. I've seen the team slowly but surely start to adapt to the way he plays. I saw today, particularly in the first half, and it didn't always come off, but there were balls from the likes of Trippier, from Sandro, from Bruno, from deep areas and from wide areas, playing it across the pitch into his feet, into the area. And they would be passes that players wouldn't normally play. They'd normally keep it safe in little triangles, but they're going out of their way to find Nick Woltemade, to get him on the ball, because they know he can unlock doors. Like his little touches around the sides. They're not always going to work, by the way. He's not going to be perfect. He will try these things, and some of these things will get cut out and get broken up. But some of these things will open up space and create opportunities for the players. And like what I've seen players try that more often. I think there's a lot of trust that's going into Nick Woltemade now. I think players trust him to hold up the ball and make connections, and that's come with training, with time, with getting to know him and getting to know with the way he plays. And I really like it. I like it. It's a different way of playing. It's an old school style hold up play, which is really gone in the game now. And I really like that, where he goes up right up against centre backs. He makes it difficult. He wants to battle. And I've actually seen an improvement in Nick Woltemade's physicality. He's really put himself about a lot more now, whereas I think he found that Wolves game really difficult because they really roughed him up. He didn't squirm away from it. He fronted it up, but he found it difficult physically. And you can see from that game against Wolves to now that physically he's become stronger, because Milenkovic is a tough player, big, tall, physical player. So is Morato, but he went toe-to-toe with them. And Milenkovic was losing a lot of those battles today with Nick Woltemade, which you don't normally see. And that showed me the progression that Nick Woltemade is going in. So there's a level of trust from other players now. They're finding him. They're actively looking for him. But he's developing his strength. He's going to need to build some size. In the next couple of years, you will see Nick Woltemade fill out a little bit more. You might not see it this season, but come back after pre-season into 26, 27, you'll probably see him fill out and become physically stronger, because he'll need to be. He'll need to be resolute and strong and have that strength to be able to continually fight in the Premier League. But yeah, I see it going from strength to strength. Like, you know, everyone said this was a risk, and it was to a point. But 4 goals in 5 games? Everyone's laughing. Every Newcastle fan is laughing right now, because we've got a striker that scores goals. And the fact that Jamie Carragher, when they were looking back after the game and looking at his goal, the first thing he said about Nick Woltemade is, "I love him." And that just tells you everything you need to know. Or opposition fans of pundits are now recognising his quality, and it just goes to show we got the best deal of the summer.
But you can't have him, Jamie Carragher. You cannot have him. And it's nice to see that Jamie Carragher's replacement is in the studio as well, in Conor Cody.
I'm just going to fire a couple of quick ones, because while we're on the subject of Nick. Kevin says, I think we need a better passer in midfield to completely unlock Big Nick. And then also, Craig Lee says, I think Nick would prefer 4-2-3-1 and be behind the striker, so basically playing the 10. I suppose my question to you is, Daz, do you think when Johan Visser comes back, do you think there is potentially a change in formation, or do you think Eddie's sticking with this 4-3-3, particularly for this season, and maybe it's something he looks at maybe next season?
I don't know the answer to that one, whether Eddie will change it. He may try it, but he hasn't had much time on the training ground. He even said it before the game, because the games have been coming thick and fast, and now people go away in international duty as well, and Wiese isn't back thanks to Congo. So I don't know when he'll actually get a chance to try it out. So, but it's something that sorry, Pete, mentioned Congo.
Are we going there already? Are we going? Are we really going?
No, we're not going there. We're not going there. Don't worry. I'd like to see him in a 4-2-3-1 as well, just ahead of Wiese, let's say, as the minister. I'm surprised he scored as many goals as he did so far. to tell you the truth. He's all about the little touches, the flick-ons, and he's learning as well. He's adjusting to life in a new country and everything like everyone. So he's done exceptionally well to hit the ground running. And he's no relief either. As in his only relief is Sula coming on to share the load. If you remember, our previous striker didn't have much relief either. That probably contributed to his frustrations. But Big Nick, yeah, I'm looking for what he can bring into the future as well. And I suppose we need to also be aware that there will come a time where he will go on a barren spell as well, and he won't be scoring. But just also remember what else he brings to the team in his creativity. And I remember one time in the game as well, he won the ball back. He chased the ball down and robbed the defender to set off something as well. So it's. I've been impressed, really impressed with him so far. And it's early days, so plenty more to come from Big Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I wasn't going to go there, Pete, and I was desperately looking actually for something in the chat, but I think I need to go there because this is news to me, and it may be news to you and Daz. I don't know. Yeah, Pete, it's going to make him angry on his birthday, but it could kick him off. Plonlad says, I hope the rumours about Vissa being out for the season is bullshit, but there are rumours out there.
Happy birthday!
Thanks,
Mate, he's going to be going for Congo. Pete watching that African Cup of Nations, although it will help. Well, maybe it'll help that Vissa's not playing in the African Cup of Nations. I don't know whether it will or it won't. But I hadn't heard any of these rumours, Pete. But have you heard this today, or is this news to you?
I've not heard it at all, being honest, about him being out for the season. There are rumours before they came out with the 8-week thing that there could be an ACL situation, but then that was shut down by the club and by Eddie Howe. They've said 8 weeks, so I'm at this moment in time, I'm going off what the club are saying. I'm hoping that's the case because, again, they've angered me a lot because they've created this situation. The international team have, and I'm going to say something and people won't agree. People haven't agreed when I've gone on Congo before. If and when Wissa comes back, I would be very, very hesitant to allow Johan Wissa to go to the African Cup of Nations. I know it's not possible. I know people are going to put in the chat, oh, we can't stop him from going, this, that, and the other. I know that. But if I'm Newcastle United and I'm Eddie Howe, I'm going, they've mismanaged you. You've now lost out on Champions League football so far this season and playing Premier League football for Newcastle United. We need to get you up and fit and ready to go. You're 31 years old or 30 years old. You want to be playing at the top level. Get yourself fit and get yourself playing Champions League football, Premier League football for Newcastle United. I know that Jordan Cronin said it on his video the other day, but he when he said it, I was almost saying thank you that someone out there, a journalist, someone out there is saying something similar. There's no way we can allow him to go, particularly now that he's been set back even further. He's going to basically play a few games, 5-6 games, and then he's going to be off again for a month under their watch. How can we trust them? They're a bunch of amateurs, like I've said. Who's to say that he doesn't pick up another injury again, and then we're screwed over? Because this has been an absolute nightmare for Newcastle United. It really, really has. And I'm very reluctant to allow him to go to the African Cup of Nations because I don't trust them to look after him. And if I was Eddie Howe or the club, I'd be asking him to at least consider it. That's from my point. And I know people won't agree with that. It's my opinion and I stick to it. If it was me, I would not be allowing him to go to the African Cup of Nations. I hope it's not a season ender. It better not be. It better be just the 8-weeker and we get him back playing football before Christmas because we're going to need him. We are going to need him. We're going to need a full remit of squad available to be able to win some of these games this season. And there are games where Johan Wieser is going to be really, really important to offer us something a little bit different as a different attacking entity. And we've missed that so far this season. And we're going to need it in games coming up between now and Christmas. So, yeah, that's kind of where I am with that. No to AFCON. Keep him at Newcastle United. But, yeah, let's pray that it isn't something worse. And we're not going to hear of another extension of this injury again because we need him back fit. Isn't it typical? He hasn't been injured in 4 years. 4 years he's not been injured. And then he gets injured because of those clowns over there in Congo. And now we suffer off the back of it.
Happy birthday.
Absolute disgrace. Every single one of them. An absolute disgrace, right, of how they've treated him. Absolute disgrace.
Very frustrating. And Daz, on a lighter note, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Because this was a question. This is a question someone asked me. Lee Owen says, "Who was Bruno playing cards with?" She was like, "What's he doing?" I was like, "I don't know. He was on the floor. He's dishing the cards out." But yeah, there must be a card game going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, let Bruno explain that one. I'm not going to attempt. I don't know what he was at.
No. But we know Bruno loves to do 4, 5, 6, 7 celebrations, and that he did. But after such a great goal, who can blame him? But Daz, no, in all seriousness, is another one for you, Friday, and I think we need to discuss this a little bit because we did briefly touch on it on away days. But will Wolves be behind Ange? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, look, I don't think Wolfie was ever behind Ange. He wasn't in his top of his list. No, I can't speak for Wolfie, but I don't think he was top of his list to begin with. Of course, like us, whoever the club would pick, and he backs Maracas, and he got behind him then. But it has not worked out. They haven't had no win in 7 for them. So I think did you put something in our chat, Chris, that there's going to be talks with them now?
I've asked us is going to be having talks with Ange this week. So yeah, it's getting a bit.
I wonder, what kind of a contract did they give him? Did they give him was there kind of some kind of a get out clause there on behalf of Forest, or was it kind of like how he always says that he wins something in his second season? Was it at least a 2-year contract? So then that's a big payout straight away. So I don't know.
Ideal, is it? Pete, what? How do you think Wolfie's going to be feeling right now? And what are your thoughts on Ange? Is this international break coming at a good time, or do you think it might not have come at a good time for Ange? Because quite often, manager changes are done during international breaks, aren't they?
I think Wolfie will want Ange gone. He might not say that on his streams. He might not say it on shows, on panels. I think he's looking at this now. I did click on very quickly during the game to see his reactions, and he just looks completely despondent. He looks completely done already, and the guy's only been here a matter of weeks, as manager at Forest. And I just think Wolfie will want him at the door. He's going to be a manager that will end up putting them in the relegation zone if they're not already there already. And I think, being honest, I'd be surprised if Ange is in charge for another Forest game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ange get sacked in the next 48 hours and they get another manager in very quickly, because that's what Marinakis does. He likes to move quickly with his managers. I would be surprised if that change hasn't happened by Wednesday, that there's a new manager in charge and they can get to work with whatever players are still there in the build up to the next game. Because I'm being honest, looking at Forest today, they look an absolute shell of what they produced last season. That Forest today reminded me very much of the Forest we saw before sort of Nuno came in, and that Forest was fighting relegation.
Cooper.
Yeah. That Forest right there under Cooper was fighting relegation. That's what that Forest reminded me of today, which you see the money that they've spent, you see the quality of player that they have brought in and what they have on the pitch and what they produced last season, you're thinking that's chalk and cheese. And Marinakis will not be happy with that, because we have to remember, with all the money that they're putting in, which is great, they're going to have a problem very soon like us, where PSR becomes a bit of a problem. And they've invested a lot of money. And yes, they might have got money in, but they're still going to be in a position where if they keep spending, because they don't have the revenue that we do, they've got nowhere near the revenue that we have. And we haven't even got the best. So all of that stuff is not being talked about. It will catch up with them. And their investment now is to ensure that they stay there. But if they're going to be down there and they've made all this investment and they're going to be near the bottom of the league, they're not going to be able to do that again. And so therefore, they're going to be in a really difficult position where they're maximizing. They're going to have to sell all their best players in order to rebuild. And it's just going to be a yo-yo situation for Forest. So Forest need to start winning now. And I think they need to go and get a manager that does that. For me, I hope they don't, because I want them down there, because I see them as a team that could be potentially fighting out for European spots. So it's one place out for us. But let's wait and see. But I don't think he'll stay in charge for long.
It doesn't get any easier for Forest, because next up they have Chelsea at home, then they have Porto at home, then they go away to Bournemouth, they have Man United at home, then they go away to Sturm Graz, Leeds at home, Liverpool away. That's pretty much November and the end of October for them. So,
regardless of what manager, you're looking at a lot of losses in there potentially.
Yeah.
Charlie's already rubbing his hands together in the next game. He's like, he wants Ange in. He even said yesterday, he messaged me yesterday after Chelsea beat Liverpool, and he was like, make sure you beat them, but make sure you don't beat them too bad, so Ange is still in the job. That's how Charlie is right now. Like he's looking at taking 3 points from them, and like you said, the other games that are coming up, they're not easy games. There's difficult teams in there, and it's not out of the realms of possibility that Forest's next 5 in the Premier League, they could potentially lose nearly all of them, which would put them in the bottom 3. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I suppose it's whether or not it's whether or not Marinakis wants to give the new manager a more easier one, shall we say, or whether he just goes to, Ange, well, you've got these games, do your best with them, and then obviously they make the change after the games. Because the only problem with bringing in a new manager, like you rightly said, Pete, is this new manager coming in, it's going to be looking at them fixtures and going, Jesus, I'm gonna struggle here to kind of get off to a decent start. And we know how big momentum is, and then obviously if the new manager comes in and then just carries on losing, it's then going to be in 5, 6, 7, 8 games. Is that new manager going to be in the same position? So it's a lot for Marinakis to consider, really.
Sorry, Chris, one last point, because I was thinking about this when I was watching the Fulham game, the Fulham Bournemouth game. I was thinking that, okay, I know Wolfies would love to get Marco Silva, but who's going to go to Forest, knowing that Marinakis is kind of it's can be difficult to work with as well. But on the outside looking in, that's the way it is, and he likes to be involved. So it's not an easy sell especially for someone in a job. Bigant was not in a job when he took this on, of course.
They've got good players though. You look at the base of their team, Murillo and Milenkovic in defence. I'm not a big fan of Sells. I don't rate him personally, but he did well last season, didn't he? I think he was in Team of the Year. You've got Anderson, Gibbs-White, Douglas Luiz, who was injured today, but you've got 3 midfielders there you can work with. You've got Hudson-Odoi on the left. You've got Ndoi on the right. You've got Wood and Callum Mwendo, who can also play on the right. Like, if you look at that spine of the team, they've got a team that's probably good enough to get at least top half of the table.
Oh yeah,
like, even from this position right now.
Yeah,
it was just for me. It was just very clear that Ange wasn't the right guy. Marinakis has gone with who he knows best. He's gone with trusted as a friend rather than the right style of manager to come in and manage these players. I think a Marco Silva coming in and taking over this could potentially put Forest to the next level. He's built a really good team at Fulham, but I think there's capacity to take Forest further than Fulham. then he could take Fulham. And he's got the money behind him in an owner that is willing to put money down to buy players that maybe Fulham wouldn't, to get players in the door. So I think someone like Marco Silva, definitely. I know he mentioned Areola as well. Well, I say he mentioned Areola. He mentioned it in the 12-man chat, and he got loads of laughing emojis back from everyone, Toby and all the rest of it, off the back of that. I don't see that happening.
He's not going there.
He's flying at Bournemouth, and he's done the impossible, because we all thought they might be in a relegation battle with losing all their players. They're absolute opposite. And it just shows how good he is. But yeah, I think Marco Silva isn't a bad shout. Darth is to put Gareth Southgate. Let's leave Gareth Southgate for Ruben Amorim. Let's leave that there. Let's keep that there. Let's leave Southgate in his own little mode, and then we'll move him on to Old Trafford.
Do you know the last thing I'll say on that, Pete? And you raised a great point. I think, ironically, if Forest had gone for either Iraola or Glasner before the season started, they might have had a chance of getting them. Yeah. But now the clubs have made a start to the season. Both Glasner and Marco Silva and Iraola would all potentially look and go, don't know now. It looks like a bit of an uphill battle. Whereas if it had been the start of the season, you look at Bournemouth, as you rightly said, who sold all the players. You looked at Glasner, who was desperately trying to keep hold of Mark Gahey, and had to who did Palace sell? Eze. There was a little bit of a rift going on, and he could have gone in there and went, "Yeah, we'll give you the money. Yeah, come and work with this squad, really good." And whereas now I think it's a lot more difficult, because I know we're only 7 games into the Premier League, but all of a sudden it looks like an uphill battle. And the likes of Palace, the likes of Fulham, the likes of Bournemouth, they've all made reasonably good starts, some better than reasonable. And all of a sudden it doesn't look as attractive anymore, Forest. So that is what could potentially hurt them. But we will have to wait and see, boys. We'll have to wait and see. Before I go to a question which I've lined up, I'm just going to mention some members here. So Samsonite Dove, thank you very much. Samsonite Dove, who is a member, has given away Mag and UFC memberships. So thank you very much for that, Samsonite Dove. Much appreciated, mate. Much appreciated. Where else are we? Samsonite Dove, who's been a member for 9 months. He wanted to say happy birthday to the main man, to Pete there. So win for the birthday lad, Pete. Absolutely. And there was another birthday comment. I've had loads of birthday comments. We've got to say a big shout out and a big happy birthday to Pound for Pound Boxing. Pound for Pound Boxing, whose birthday it is today. He says, yes, Pete, it seems we share the same birthday. God clearly was in a good mood on this day. He clearly was. Quite clearly was. So happy birthday as well to Pound for Pound Boxing. Where are we? Yes, Adam McCarthy, member for 44 months. Hell of a long time. Nearly 4 years, Adam. Thank you. Evening, lads. Great win today, and what a pen. Absolutely. Now, boys, I loved this question from John Askew. And I thought, let's do a little bit of digging just so that we can have a decent chat around it. So, John Askew says, we need to extend the contracts of all our top players, starting with the Italian. I think we know who he's referring to there. If we don't, what's going to happen? Now, it's a great question, John. And what I did was in the background, while I got this question ready, and while I was irritating Daz in the background, I was adding these pictures, and I thought it'd be good for like a little visual. So I will read them out, even though everyone can see them, because anybody watching back will not be able to see what we're talking about. But this visual here gives you a brief description of whose contracts are running out and when. So in 2026, at the end of this season, we've got Adam Ramsdale, who we know we've got an option to buy for. We can buy Adam Ramsdale, I believe, for around £20 million, should we wish to. Nick Pope, his contract is going to be expiring at the end of the season, as well as Fabian Schär, Kieran Trippier, Jamal Lascelles, Emil Kraft, and Mark Gillespie. I don't know why Jamal Lascelles and Mark Gillespie have got a big band sign next to them, but either way, they are the players that are up, whose contracts are up in 2026 at the end of the season. Moving on to 2027, there's a very worrying one at the top there, boys. A very worrying one, and that is Sven Botman. Sven Botman's contract runs out in 2027. So at the end of this season, he'll have 1 year left, and the same players will be in exactly the same position. So we've got Joe Willock, we've got Jacob Murphy, and we've got Dan Burn. And then looking into 2028, which is a bit further away, but we know how quick the time, the time runs out. And let's be honest, boys, at the end of the season, there's only 2 years left. And some will say that, the best time to sell a player is when they've got about 2 years left on the contract if you want to try and maximise the value. And there's quite a few on this list as well, boys. So we have our Captain Magnifico, Bruno Guimarães. So Bruno Guimarães is there. His contract runs out in 2028. We also have... Oh, sorry, Pete.
Now I'm just saying, because there's someone at the bottom there that Daz will not be happy with.
I know, I see that. That's one we need to sort out quickly. We've got to sort that one out quickly. But yeah, following on from Bruno Guimarães, we have Sandro Tonali, Tino Livramento, Joe Linton, Harvey Barnes, and Alex Murphy. Alex Murphy running out in 2028. But boys, I'm going to come to you. Daz, I'm going to come to you first, mate. Any alarm bells ringing there? I mean, tell you what, let's start with 2026. How are you feeling about 2026, mate? And which ones on there do you think need maybe looking at, need renewing?
Well, first of all, we need to sort out the goalkeeping situation, because I think we at this stage I thought Ramsdale would be in goal first, but Nick Pope is having a stormer. He's having a great start to the season, and long may that continue. And then then I don't know if we bother taking up that option on Ramsdale. Maybe we look elsewhere. So I think we need to sort the goalkeeper situation no matter what. I'd extend Nick Pope's contract. As long as he's willing to stay, and he may well be the second keeper at that stage. He probably would be. Shearer has just got an extension for this year. I don't know. Again, Malik Chow is going to have a massive say in everything to do with Fabian Shearer, because he's going to try and win his place back now. Trips again, 35 now. Like, how long more can he go? I think he may go into kind of a coaching role after this. So maybe he gets involved in the Newcastle backroom setup, or I don't know, or where he goes. Lascelles, I think this has to be his last year with us. I think he knows well he's only going to be a bit part player, and with Malik Chow in there as well, he's well down the pecking order. Kraftku as well, similar kind of situation. A good, dependable backup, but he's not getting any younger either. And Mark Gillespie, yeah, no comment.
Big Mark. I'd give Mark another year, but that's me. Pete, what are you thinking for this in terms of who are you giving new contracts to there, and more importantly as well, are you signing Alan Ramsdale on a permanent as things stand?
I think it's a tough one with Ramsdale. I'm still of the mindset that there's a world in which James Trafford becomes available next summer. I'm still of that mindset, so I'm not quite sure on that. I think that conversation can be kicked down the road for another 6 to 8 months.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about the Aaron Ramsdale situation. I mean, the obligations there. Look, I'll be honest. Aaron Ramsdale will absolutely crawl his way to St James's Park to sign on a permanent for Newcastle United. You can tell by how he speaks and like his attitude that he's loving it at Newcastle. Yes, he's not playing week in, week out, but I think he's really loving it being involved at Newcastle United. And he will get minutes in games here and there. But that conversation doesn't need to be happening now. I think the conversation with Nick Pope needs to happen soon. You either extend his contract, even if it's like we did with Longstaff for an additional year to kick it down the road to maintain his value because he's playing well. And then you've got the conversation of, if you extend his contract for another year like we did with Longstaff last season, do you then sell him for a decent value for 15, 20 million in the summer? Or, do you keep him and go, right, you're going to be on number 2 because we're going to bring in a number 1 to properly compete with you, and you go back and revisit the James Trafford situation? I don't know. That's kind of up in the air, but I think that decision needs to be made soon. If I'm being honest, I think that Nick Pope signs an extension. That's where I see that going. Fabian Shaw, I'm not against at all. I think he needs to be signed an extension again for another year at least. I think there's no reason why Fabian Schär shouldn't be extended unless he wants to go and play first team football, in which he'll leave. And then we need to get another centre back in. Kieran Trippier, being honest, I think this is probably his last season at Newcastle United, if I'm being totally honest. He obviously wanted to leave a couple of years ago. He's got his head right. He's playing some really, really good stuff. But I think at 35 years old, he'll probably look to maybe another one last payday before he hangs up his boots. That's how I see it. If Eddie Howe wants to keep him, I'm not against it. But in the same breath, I wouldn't want him as a guaranteed starter going into next season. I think we need to move that along. Mo Kraft, I'm going to be a bit ruthless here. I think we need to move him on. For me, even as a backup, I think we could get better. We could have better. I think he's going to be somebody that stunts the growth of Leo Shearer, our young academy player that's coming through as a right back that I think could be the future in being in the squad next season. And I think he needs to be given an opportunity. So I think he could be stunting the growth of him there. And I'm sorry, Mark Gillespie needs to go. He's got the best job in football, but we just need to be moving him on now, because either move him on or just make him a goalkeeping coach, one of the two, but it just needs to happen now. That's kind of where I am with the 2026 guys.
What about Lascelles, Pete?
Oh, sorry, Jamal. Yeah, Jamal Lascelles. Yeah, goes without saying. Superb servant at the club. Is it 10 years now he's been at the club this summer? Come in? Does it more 10 years? Or
came in the same time as Darlow, I remember.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if it marks 10 years in 2026 in the summer. Because 2016, was he signed and then we got relegated? Him and Darlow got signed and then that's the season we got relegated.
Yeah.
Came at the end. So I think if it's not 10 years, he's very close to achieving 10 years at the club. And I think that's a nice way to say goodbye to Jamal Lascelles. Someone just put, Craig just put in the chat, Lascelles testimonial ? Absolutely. He's been a great servant. He's been a key pillar in the change of Newcastle United in the last 10 years. And he should be given that opportunity to have a proper goodbye as captain of the club and club captain. So yeah, I would be releasing him, letting him go and play some football for the last 3, 4, 5 years of his career elsewhere, giving him testimonial and the goodbye that he deserves, and moving him on. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I'll quickly run through. So the goalkeepers, I'm a bit like you, Pete. I think I would probably wait until the end of the season, or nearer the end of the season, should I say? Because like you, I have a feeling that James Trafford could well become available, and it's whether or not Nick Pope wants to be the number 2. I could actually see us signing Adam Ramsdale and potentially someone like James Trafford, and maybe Nick Pope moves on. Who knows? But Nick Pope has been absolutely brilliant so far this season. Long may that continue. But yeah, I think there's probably lots of twists and turns in the goalkeeper department, I would imagine. Fabian Schär, absolutely new deal. I'd give him another year, maybe even 2 years, which I know sounds mad for a 30, well, soon to be 34-year-old. But I think he's got plenty of minutes left in his legs. Kieran Trippier, like you boys, I think he will probably move on. Jamal Lascelles, I think the same. Me personally, I would probably keep Emil Kraft around. And the only reason I say that is because obviously he's useful right back, right wing back. He can also play right centre back. I wouldn't expect him to be getting any minutes whatsoever, but I would expect that if Kieran Trippier goes, Leo Shearer would then be promoted to the backup right back, like you mentioned, Pete, and then maybe have Emil Kraft just as that. You know, Emil Kraft may be the new Jamal Lascelles. I don't know. You know, the fifth choice, if you like, at both centre back and maybe right back, where he'd be third choice. And then, well, you know what I'm going to say about Mark Gillespie, boys. No, I'm only joking. No, I think, yeah, I expect him to get another contract, but equally, I think the footballing decision is that he becomes a goalkeeper coach. I think that makes the most sense, because we all know Mark Gillespie does have the best job in football, but I think it's nice to have him in and around the team. Now, looking forward, boys, at 2027, this one will be a bit quicker because there's less, but this one is very interesting because we're now at the point, boys, when we get to the summer, we're now at the point where these players who are going to flash up on screen have only got 2 years left on the deal. So we need to be very mindful Say that. No, they'll have a year left on the deal come the summer. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. They'll have a year left on the deal come the summer. So really, action needs to be taken between now and the summer. Otherwise, they're going to have a year left on the deal, and then potentially you could come into a few problems. Pete, I'll start with you on this one. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say on the first one, but let's see.
We should be negotiating this moment right now for Sven Botman. It has to be done. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now, maybe even a bit longer. Sven Botman's contract has to be signed and sealed. People wanted to wait and see what his form was like. I was like, no, we need to get it done now. His form will come back. His class is permanent, and it's absolutely shown that to be the case. Joe Willock, I would be looking to move him on in January, personally. I think that there is still some value there to be held that we could get for him that I think we need to be maximising. I'm looking around the squad, and there's a few players that I think we could get some good value for in a sale. And unfortunately for him, Joe Willock is definitely one of them. Jacob Murphy, for me, he's a player that will stay or should stay for the rest of his career at Newcastle United, in my opinion, for however long that is. He's a Geordie, or a family of Geordies. He's a Newcastle fan. He loves the club. He is happy just being a part of Newcastle United and playing in this team. Whether he's on the bench, whether he's starting, he is a player that could be and become a squad player and could come on and do a job as and when. Not necessarily as a guaranteed player, not necessarily as a player playing every week. I'd be giving him a new contract. That's just my opinion. Dan Burn, exactly the same. For me, Dan Burn is here until he retires. He can stay as long as he wants. I'm of the mindset of both of those players because they're not crazy wages, neither of them. Like I say, they both love the club. They both know and understand what it means to play for Newcastle United. And I think as the years go on, Dan Burn and Jacob Murphy will be quite happy to just be part of the squad and part of the fabric of Newcastle United, even if they're not playing week in, week out. So for those two, it's just a no-brainer. Keep them on a contract until they're wanting to either retire or they're wanting to move on. That's how it is for me.
Okay, and Dazzler, do you share Pete's thoughts there in terms of those four?
Yeah, pretty much. Sven Botman would have given him a contract yesterday, and again, like John 0731 said, it's Liverpool I'm kind of worried about sniffing around him there at the moment. But yeah, and look at the excuse that was given a couple of weeks ago is that or the rumors were that he's not happy that he's not starting. Well, he's starting now, so get it tied up and get it. We don't need to be waiting for a sporting director to get this one sorted. Joe Willock. It's time to move on. I would sell him, see what kind of price we can get for him. I'd sell him in January if we could, and bring in someone else. Jacob Murphy, I think he will end up being the next Matt Ritchie. Let's say he sticks with us, and he's plenty to offer for the next few years. But I'll extend him as well. And Dan Burn will finish his career with us. He'll go to the World Cup. And he'd have achieved all of his lifelong ambitions and be happy. So yeah, that's pretty much the same.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you boys. I think Joe Willock is the one that we need to start looking to move on, particularly when in January it'll be 18 months left on his deal. And what was pleasing for me, boys, I don't know if you spotted this, Joe Willock on transfer market has a value of 22 million euros, which I thought was quite healthy. So yeah, who knows? If we can get anywhere between 15, 20 million, or maybe upwards, we should be entertaining those offers. Because let's be honest, Joe Willock on his day is a good player. It's just unfortunately we've not seen enough of it in a Newcastle shirt in recent times, and also we know that in this PSR world we need to trade. And unfortunately, Joe Willock now falls into that bracket, doesn't he? And also, boys, last question: do you think we're starting to see the evolution of Joe Willock? We saw towards the end of Sean Longstaff's career the way he'd be named on the bench, wouldn't get any minutes. Are we starting to see that now? We also saw it with Miggy Almiron as well. Are we starting to see that now from Eddie in terms of Joe Willock?
I think so. Yeah. Go on, Pete.
No, go for it.
No, I'd agree with that statement, Chris. And look, Joe should be shopping around now, getting his agent, looking for his next move, because the writing is kind of on the wall for him. Look at Ramsey's in now as well, so yeah, it's in Miley, and he's going to get limited minutes with us. So for his own sake, he needs to be shopping around now.
Go on, Pete.
No, I'm saying that the writings, when this happens, still play the writings on the wall. And the fact that Luke Edwards asked Eddie Howe the question, I think people know that the writings on the wall. I called it really early on with Miguel Almiron after he didn't take the move in the January to Saudi, the year before he actually left. I said it way back then. I said once he didn't take that move and Newcastle wanted him to move, Eddie Howe would make.
Oh, sorry, mate, you went on mute there.
You're back.
Yeah, he literally didn't start a game for near enough the rest of his time at Newcastle United, because at that point Eddie Howe was making a point. He wanted him to move on. He wanted him out of the club. He wanted to maximise the finances to move him on and change this team. He did the same with Sean Longstaff. He did the same with Willock. And I think it has to happen. He does it in a really respectful way, Eddie Howe. He's not being nasty by it, but he's let them know that they have to put performances in if they want to play for Newcastle United. It's what he said on Friday, and I back it 100%. Joe Willock hasn't played good enough and well enough for Newcastle United, so he is sixth choice right now. He deserves to be sixth choice, and unless he starts playing well, putting the ball in the back of there or having good performances overall, he stays sixth choice. And when it comes to who do we need to move on to generate some money, he is absolutely top of the list. It's not being nasty. It's just the evolution of football and the evolution of the team, and we need to be better sellers. He is absolutely top of the list of who we need to move on. It's reality.
Yeah. Totally agree with you, boys. Totally agree. And now we move to the last slide, which is 2028. Now, some people will say that's some way off, but as I mentioned earlier at the start, it come the summer, there will be 2 years left on these players' contracts, and a decision will most probably need to be made, because we know as soon as it gets less than 2 years, that's where the transfer fee is affected. Now, there's quite a big list on this 2028 slide. So again, for everyone at home who's listening via audio, it's Bruno Guimarães, Sandro Tonali, Tino Livramento, Joe Linton, Harvey Barnes, and Alex Murphy. Pete, I'll go to you first on this one. What are your thoughts on this list?
Bruno Guimarães, for as long as he wants to stay at the club, give him a new contract, absolutely. Sandro Tonali goes without saying. He needs to be extended. How long he's extended for, I don't know, but he needs to be extending his contract. He deserves to be one of the highest paid players at the club because of how good he is. Tino Livramento absolutely deserves exactly the same. He needs to be given a contract worthy of a first team, a top first team player, because that's exactly what he is. I'm going to be controversial here. I don't think it's out the realms of possibility that Joe Linton is moved on next summer. I'm not out the realms of possibility there. I think, and there was rumours about it in this summer, about Joe Linton in Saudi. This is not to mean that I don't rate him. I love Joe Linton. I love what he brings to the team. But come next summer, I would not be surprised that if Saudi come in for him with a big offer, that Newcastle United don't seriously consider it. And I think it would be silly if Newcastle United didn't consider a big money offer for Joe Linton. That's my opinion on it. I think if we need to be better sellers and we want to evolve this team, today was proof. Joe Linton's running around and he's all hustle and bustle and he's giving away free kicks and potentials for bookings, but it wasn't that type of game. It was a possession game. It was a footballing game. It was a game where we needed to hold possession and to be good on the board and break the lines for the likes of Woltemade and our forward guys. And he just did not fit that mold. We need to elevate this team. And there'll be some games where Joe Linton's perfect for it. But there are a lot of games more so now that Joe Linton isn't best fit for certain games because his style of play isn't suited for it. And I think Eddie Howe will need to make a tough decision next summer on him. Harvey Barnes for me, he's another one alongside Joe Willock. If we get a good offer in January, I'd be moving him on. And I'm a big Harvey Barnes fan, but I've been annoyed with him this season. He did all right when he came off the bench today, but I've been annoyed with him this season. And I won't go into it today because we're obviously moving on the show a little bit, but I've been annoyed with Harvey Barnes this season. And I think if a bid comes in January, I'd be moving him on. And I'm sorry, Daz.
Oh,
Sorry, you're not going to like this. I'm going to be ruthless here. I don't see Alex Murphy making it at Newcastle United. I just don't. I don't see him making the step up. I know. I'm moving like DR Congo right now. I'm sorry, but I don't see him making.
I did not put that on. Get that guy off.
Unless he makes a miraculous improvement in his game and really comes out swinging, I don't see him making it in Newcastle United. But yeah, that's just me.
Well, I mean,
Bring it on, Chris.
I'm going to give you a moment to respond here, but also, obviously, we can start from the bottom up because that's probably where you're going, Daz. But I want you to touch a little bit on Joe Linton as well because Pete's made I would say an interesting statement on that. But what are your thoughts on what Pete said on Joe Linton?
No, I'm going to start from the top, Chris. I'm going to do what you did. I'll keep everyone in suspense on the left back position in the big match preview. Okay, Bruno, goes without saying. Only thing I find I learned something here. Bruno could have actually played for Spain as well. He could have actually. I didn't know that, but yeah, Bruno. Yeah, look, I want Bruno to end his career at Newcastle now. I want him to stick around forever. I think he's unbelievable. One of my favorite players, and his contract will be extended, and they should be talking again. Look, there's other ones to sort out, but especially Botman. But yeah, I think Bruno won't be too far behind there as well. Again, Sandro Tonali. That's a definite. He's only 25. We need to nail him down to a long-term contract, and he most definitely deserves it. Another one who does deserve it is Tino Livramento. Get him signed up to a long-term contract as well. We know Man City were sniffing around him in the summer, but we need to make sure that we have him long-term as well. And a great player for us and one for the future as well. I agree with Pete. Now this gets to your question. I agree with Pete on Joe Linton. I'm at this moment in time, I'm willing to roll the dice on Big Joe. He has had long-term injuries in the past as well, and like that one massive big leg worries me at times as well. Whether how long that can keep going, and I think we will need to evolve at some point as well. And I think if you're going to change anyone of that midfield three, for me, it would be Joe Linton. But he is a unique player in what he does. Like his size, he always puts himself about, and he does strike a bit of fear into the opposition. So there's still plenty of more games for Joe Linton. But yeah, let's see how this one. I'll roll the dice. And Harvey Barnes, like Pete, I'm willing to look at offers maybe in the next summer for Harvey Barnes. So yeah, he's one I would look to sell and bring in an adequate replacement then as well. Maybe someone young, hungry, and someone that offer something different. Look, he does have different qualities to Gordon and to Elanga, but he's a better finisher. But he looks slow in comparison, but that's because who you're looking at, who he's replacing or whatever. And Alex Murphy, I have my doubts here whether he's going to make it for Newcastle and for himself. Like he was playing first team football for Galway United. He's come over to Newcastle and he hasn't really been. He wasn't going to get a starter or anywhere near the starting point. It's good to see him in the Champions League squads and stuff like that. But the loan at Bolton didn't do him any harm. I think he needs to do a full season. maybe needs a full season out on loan, and that's the making and breaking of him. So, but we didn't exercise that loan move for him. Maybe it happens in January, but that could depend on how long Lewis Hall is going to be out for as well. So, yeah, I think he needs game time, and then a decision to be made on him. But so yeah, I don't know. It's how it's going to work out for Alex Murphy at Newcastle.
Yeah, no, I think all fair points. And do you know what? I'll really quickly run through mine. So yeah, Bruno, I want to see him get a nice long-term contract. I do want to see it out. Sandro Tonali, I'm a little bit worried, boys, because, obviously after the ban, it did feel like the perfect opportune time to get him signed up. I think there was noises, wasn't there, that he felt that he owed Newcastle another year because of how they treated him, how they, everyone got behind him, everyone supported them. And I just hope that we try and get this wrapped up as quickly as possible while the good favour is still there, because what I don't want to see is us wait until the end of the season, potentially not have the season that we hope for, and Sandro Tonali and his agent all of a sudden go, do you know what, might want to consider our options. So I'm hoping that he gets signed up as quickly as what Sven Botman does. They are the two that I would be really pushing for at the moment, Sandro Tonali and Sven Botman. Tino Livramento, absolutely, he needs a new contract too. Obviously get his injury out the way, get back into the first team. And I think when Kevin Trippier leaves and Tino Livramento becomes the first choice right back, I think that will be a good sign of intent to go to him, right? You're the main guy, you're coming in. You're going to be first choice now, week in, week out, sign a new deal. So that would be great. In terms of Joe Linton, yeah, the reason I asked you, Daz, about what Pete said, I think Pete raised a really good point, because I love Joe Linton. I think Joe Linton's absolutely fantastic, and I love what he brings to the team, and he is unique. You're right in what you say, Daz, but we've got to learn to become good sellers, haven't we, boys? And this has been said now for some time. And it does feel, Joe Linton is going to be, well, he's just turned 29, hasn't he? And obviously next year, he's going to be approaching his 30th birthday. And if we get that big offer from Saudi, it does make you wonder whether the club go, do you know what? Maybe we do, because we're trying to become a different team, aren't we? And Joe Linton at the point in time was absolutely excellent. And he's still doing the job now, don't get me wrong. But in some games, I just feel like technically he's not strong. Do you know what I mean? He's strong physically and he gets himself about, but sometimes technically I just feel like we need more technical players, particularly in the middle of the park, and that's maybe what lets Joe Linton's game down a touch. But it would be sad for them to leave. But if we were to get a huge offer of 35, 40 million plus for Joe Linton, I do think the club would consider it. Harvey Barnes, yeah, I agree with you boys. I think it's time for Harvey to be moved on. If a good offer comes in, again, north of 30 million, I think the club would consider it. And Alex Murphy, do you know what, Daz? I'm a bit like you. I think he needs a full season out on loan. Leave him till he's got 1 year left on his deal. Bring him back at the end of the 26-27 season and see whether it's worth a new deal. If it's not, if he doesn't have a great loan deal, then maybe it's just a case of moving him on. But he does need a full first team season somewhere else, maybe in the Championship, somewhere like that, and just test him out. But I can't see him starting for Newcastle anytime soon, unfortunately. But yeah, boys, I hope you found that useful, and I hope everyone at home found it useful. It was good to kind of go through the players and see where we are. And it does point out a few gaps that we absolutely have. Now, boys, we're going to wrap up very shortly. So I am just going to fizz a couple of very quick ones at you. Just quick, short answers for these. Craig Lee, NUFC says, how much is Anderson going to cost us if we want him back?
I'll jump in here. Yeah, there's still a lot of love, Eddie, for Elliot Anderson. Boys, it might be controversial. I don't want Elliot Anderson back because I think it's too much. And I think why were we going to spend? I think we could get someone better for the amount that we could buy him back for. And I think if he still was at Newcastle, we'd only still be getting bit part games, and he needed that move to Forest. It's been a blessing in disguise for him, because England and now and so because if he stayed in Newcastle, he wouldn't get anywhere near England. So, but I don't think we should buy Elliot Anderson back.
Pete, how much do you want Elliot Anderson back, and how much are you paying?
Yeah, I think we should get Elliot Anderson back. We're going to have to pay a fair bit to get him back. I think it would be anywhere between 50 and 60 million, which is a lot of money to buy someone back. But look, we know the circumstances that we're in. There's been lots of people recently going, why didn't we put a buyback clause in? We should have had a buyback. We were not in a position to negotiate a buyback clause. We needed the money and we needed it literally there and then. So we were not in a position to negotiate. And Forest knew that, which is why they put down what they put down to sign it. And that's why we ended up getting Vlachodimos as part of that deal when we didn't want him at the club. It's that simple. So, look, we're going to have to overpay to get him back. There's a lot of benefits to getting him back. He's coming back a much better player than what he left us. He's a player, for me, that if he was to be signed in the summer, would absolutely come into that starting lineup and be someone that could overtake a Joe Linton and actually start for Newcastle United. He could also potentially be someone that could dovetail and alternate for Bruno Guimarães as well. He can play anywhere across that midfield. He has now become a central midfield player, and that's where he could play. And he could play in a 6, he could play in an 8 on the right or an 8 on the left. And it could be a midfield where you're looking at Sandro, Eddie Anderson on the right, and Jacob Ramsey on the left, and you're looking at a completely new built midfield, a midfield that's very good with the ball, that's got a lot of energy and a lot of physicality and can play between the lines. You've also got the fact that he's homegrown, which if we've got aspirations of playing in Europe, he's a player that can be coming added to that as well, because we've not got a lot of those players. We lost Sean Longstaff for that. So there is an added incentive to have that. And at the age of 23 years old, 23, 24 years old, he has the rest of his career ahead of him at Newcastle United. And he's the fabric of what Newcastle United is. He's a Geordie. He knows what the club means. He knows how to play for this club. He'd be massively motivated to come back and play for us. I tweeted out that video earlier that Daz put on there of Eddie Howe and Elliot Anderson, and they did have quite a moment together. I'd love to be a fly on the wall listening to that conversation, but we need to do more of that. Eddie Howe needs to do more of that. We need to be looking at players that we want to be signing and having those conversations. And I hope he was saying, hold out and make sure you come to us next summer. I hope he was saying, we're coming for you. Be ready. I hope he is having those conversations, because, hey, we lost out on a player this summer that left us where that same conversation happened. Cup final. Go back to it. I put it on. I had it on a draft tweet and I never tweeted it out. But that moment with Van Dijk and Isak in the cup final, you could see and you could hear. If you're a good lip reader, you can see him mention something about pre-season. That was preempted. That was a plan in place. We need to be more of the same. We can't let teams just do it to us. We need to start doing it back. And I hope Eddie Howe is having that conversation. So for me, anywhere between 50 and 60 million to get him back, I would absolutely have him back. There's lots of benefits to having a player like that back. And I think he would jump at the chance of coming back playing for Newcastle United.
The beauty we'd have in that situation is that even if other clubs matched it, he would come back to Newcastle United. We would be his first choice no matter what. I'm convinced of that. And I think he would make that clear to Nottingham Forest as well. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows? And it depends what happens with Nottingham Forest this season, doesn't it, boys? It really, really does. Last question, boys, because we're gonna wrap up. But and I really wanted to mention this because it needs talking about, because it's so obvious. And again, it comes from John Askew, and if someone else has mentioned it, I will pop it on there. Tom Marston says it. Potentially, is the current centre back pairing our best in history? Now, John Askew's going all in there. He is going all in. But the one that I saw earlier was from Tom Marston, when he says, absolutely love Shearer and Byrne. They've been fantastic for us, but Botman and Chow could well become the best centre-back pair we've ever had. Top class. Boys, we need to mention these two, don't we? I know we said it in the last show. We'll probably say it in the next show. But how good were Chow and Botman today?
Yeah, no, they were, and they look really good together. I'm laughing to myself because I'm thinking of Sean Casey's tweet where he says that this is Paolo Maldini's vision of having Botman and Malik Chow together for Milan, but that never happened. It has happened at Newcastle though, and they do look well together. So yeah, this is the future. I think the other part to our defensive strategy of the future is Lewis Hall and Tino. Unfortunately, they're both injured at the moment, but not looking too bad, is it?
Not at all. Pete, what are your thoughts? Well, I know your thoughts, but tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, look, are they the best centre-back pairing in our history? They absolutely have the potential to be. But look, Shaw and Byrne are definitely up there and the ones to be beaten right now because they effectively delivered it as a trophy. And so that they, we're not saying these guys are rubbish. Get rid of them, get these guys in because they're better. These guys have been absolutely sensational for us, Fabian Shaw and Dan Byrne. They delivered as a trophy, but at 33 years old apiece, they're kicking on, and we need to evolve this team. We have to make difficult decisions. Botman and Chow are better all-round defenders than the other two. It's just absolutely clear. And if we want to be a team fighting in European football and at the top level of Premier League football, we have to have these two starting. So they absolutely can become the future and the best centre-back pairing that we've ever seen at the club. But obviously it's still early days yet, but they've made a hell of a start, and fair play to them.
Just I'm slightly changing tack here. Just one last thing, just something I wanted to bring up because Tino's put it there. J7 tried very hard to bully him today, me and Jordi Maradona. Jordi Maradona wasn't having any of it. Did you see that moment, boys, when Elliot Anderson almost went all in on Joe Linton, and Joe Linton, it was like stood over him and he put his arm down just to push him down? It almost felt like, to me anyway, it almost felt like Elliot Anderson was going, I'm here. I can do this. I can go up against you. Now, I know obviously their opponents on the day, and I'm sure they're pretty good pals behind the scenes. But did you like seeing that from Elliot Anderson, just in terms of it? It felt like he'd become a man. Do you know what I mean? Like I saw it and I thought he's going up against arguably one of the hard men in the whole league, and he was basically saying, I'm here for the fight. I'm here to battle with you. And do you think Eddie Howe's looking at that and going, based on what we were saying about Joe Linton potentially moving on in the summer, is Eddie Howe looking at this and going, is Elliot Anderson, the remake of Joe Linton, not in terms of size and stature at this moment, but just in terms of that tenacity and that will to win? What do you think, Daz?
No.
No.
Sorry, Chris. No. I don't know, guys. I think I'm not. He's definitely come on since he was with us, and I know he's made his way into the England squad too. But if you're not from Newcastle and you're not from England, you've been a bit blinded by him as well. I don't. For me, I see. I don't put Tonali, Bruno, and Elliot Anderson in the same conversation. I'd like Tonali, Bruno, and someone else who was absolutely unreal and world class that would come in and join that three if and when Joe Linton departs. And I don't see Elliot Anderson being that one. If we got a good deal on him, but I don't think we will. Like maybe if they got relegated, even if they got relegated, they'll still want a massive fee for him. So he still has a bit to go for me, Elliot Anderson, before he can be put into that equation. But that's just me, my opinion on it, and I know I'm definitely in the minority on that one.
Mm. And Pete, just again, Tino's comment: trade Willock for Anderson in January.
Oh yeah, if Forest are willing to do that deal, yeah, I'm signing that up all day long. I don't want to put Elliot Anderson in the bracket of Joe Linton because I think he is a different type of midfielder. He does have that physicality about him. He showed that in Newcastle. I remember that game against Tottenham at home where he was playing in a back three. I think it was a 3-5-2 we played when we beat Tottenham, and we absolutely tore him apart that day. Is when Isak scored those couple of goals against Van de Ven. And Elliot Anderson's physicality, and he dominated, and he was really big and strong and overpowering in that midfield, and he had a really, really good game. He showed that ability, but what he has showed since he's gone to Forest is consistency. His consistency in his play, putting in performances week in, week out, that has obviously grabbed the attention of England. And now he's seen as a starter and seen as almost as a shoo-in for the World Cup off the back of his performances. But what I like about him is his use of the ball. He's really good technically. He keeps the ball well in good positions. He can break the lines in his passes. He's arriving now more at the edge of the box. He's added a few goals to his game. But the great thing about it is we're not talking about a player that we've got right now at 23 years old. He's a player that can actually get better. And who better for him to come back to benefit and take to the next level than Eddie Howe? We're not talking about a player that if we signed for £50 million in the summer, we're coming in and that's what we're going to get for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. That's not the case. We're bringing him in back. We're bringing him back in after elevating himself at Forest, and then we're bringing him in and going, right, you're now part of our first team. You're going to be starting week in, week out, and we're going to elevate you and take you to the next level. That's exactly what we need to be doing right now with a player like Eddie Howe, with Eddie Anderson, with Eddie Howe as his manager. Now, to add to that, I mentioned it before, having him as a homegrown quota for European competition is an added bonus to that, and it's an important thing. To that because it won't be long before Miley's hitting that range and he's going to be a homegrown quota. You've got Lewis Hall that's going to be a homegrown quota in a few years' time, and in a few years' time you're going to have those three guys as your homegrown quotas, and we're going to be in a very strong position with the likes of Leo Shahar who will be fitting into that mold as well, and a few others. So yeah, I do. I think it's. I'm not going to put him in that Joelinton mold, but he can certainly add that to his game. It's definitely a part of his game. But he's for me, he's an all-round better player than Joelinton. Joelinton is very physical, very dominating in his physical play, but lacks in a lot of other areas where I think Elliot Anderson is very much well-rounded, all-round in terms of his overall ability. And I think that long-term is better for Newcastle United. I'm really sorry, lads. I'm going to go. I've just been told I've got another birthday present that I need to go and collect. I have to go, otherwise I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. But love to you all. Thank you for all your birthday wishes and everything else for today. 3 points in the bag. Absolutely buzzing. And lads, I'll speak to you very, very soon. Take care, lads.
See you later, mate.
Take care, mate.
We've missed our 2 hour window, Chris, as well, by the way.
Yeah, we need to wrap. Don't we? We're going to wrap anyway. We need to wrap, boys.
But yeah, look, let's leave it at that. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for Pete for coming on his birthday as well. Thanks to my internet for staying alive for this show. But we will be back again soon. Don't know when or how. But we will be back as soon. A bit of an international break as well, so there won't be a reaction show, obviously, of any description. But we will be back as soon as possible. Chris, you can either play the Bruno song or the Loaded Magpie song. What would you like?
I think it's got to be Bruno, mate, for that finish. That's
finish.
That second half performance.
Nice one. Smash the like button on your way out, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.
Cause sooner or later in life, the things you love you lose. But you've got the love I need to see me through. You got the love, you got the love, you